Hey guys, Damien here. So in this video, I'm going to go over a leak or corruption, whatever you want to call it, on the legislation level of our government. But before I get into that, going back to that Slumdog Millionaire analogy. So before I made this video, but after I made those last videos in terms of the inspections um, for Israel, I wanted to kind of show like how there's been a deceiving relationship regarding USA and Israel and the American people by talking about current events such as a group called AIPAC, which I'll get into here in a second. But before I did that, I just randomly saw a quote online that I'd never heard before. And so I questioned the validity because I'm thinking, why hasn't a quote like this ever been more popular up until now? So when you search for a lot of things like I've been searching for lately, a lot of certain topics, you get really good at understanding like when things are trying to be hidden from you versus when things might actually be BS and what things might have a lot of merit. So that being said, there was a gray area in it. The quote that I saw, I wanted to see where it came from, and it said it was a book from JFK. And so sometimes you can read books online. There's a website, and I'll link it in the comment section. But there's a website you can read books, and I went to that website, and the book was there, but certain pages were omitted. And one of the pages that was referenced, where the quote was from, was one of those pages. So I'm thinking, okay, there's probably something there. So I went ahead and ordered the book. So placed the order for my book, and then I was like, you know what, maybe there's another source I can try to find online for that quote, because I was believing that the quote did exist. And so I kept on searching, and sure enough, I did find the exact location and source where the quote came from, and it was not from that book that they were trying to say. They're trying to throw me off, make me waste money. But I found the quote. I was able to cancel my order, by the way. And so right now we're going to talk about corruption on the legislation level back in the 1960s, and as well as here in the current events as well. There is no question that Feinberg enjoyed greatest presidential access and influence in his 20 years as a Jewish fundraiser and lobbyist with LBJ. So again, this is from the book, The Samson Option, Israel's Nuclear Arsenal and American Foreign Policy, that I just stumbled upon. I told Kennedy I was going to get in touch with Abe Feinberg, who I thought was a key Jew. I arranged a meeting with JFK in Feinberg's apartment in the Hotel Pierre, and we invited all the leading Jews. About 20 prominent businessmen and financiers showed up. The group agreed on an initial contribution of $500,000 to JFK's campaign, with more money to come. I called JFK right away, said Feinberg. His voice broke. He got emotional with gratitude. Kennedy was anything but grateful the next morning in describing the session to Charles L. Bartlett, a newspaper columnist and close friend. He had driven to Bartlett's home in Northwest Washington and dragged his friend on a walk where he recounted a much different version the night before. So John F. Kennedy's good friend said that this is what JFK said. As an American citizen, JFK was outraged, Bartlett recalled, to have a group. Okay, you fill in the blank here. If you're only listening and not watching, read this part of the screen right here. As an American citizen, he was outraged, Bartlett recalled, to have a group come to him and say, "We know your campaign is in trouble. We're willing to pay your bills, and you'll let us have control of your Middle East policy." Kennedy, as a presidential candidate, also resented the crudity in which he'd been approached. They wanted control, JFK angrily told Bartlett. Bartlett further recalled Kennedy promising to himself that if he ever got to be president, he was going to do something about it. A candidate's perennial need for money and resulting vulnerability to the demands of those who contributed. So, JFK was basically bribed $500,000 by that group in exchange for having a say-so in Middle East policies. That's horrible to have other countries trying to interfere with our politicians that make our decisions and have the power to make so many decisions on so many levels. That's super corrupt. But let's talk about current events. What you're looking at here should horrify you. All of the red and black are people who have accepted money from AIPAC. The solid green have not, and I believe the blue and red ones have not either. So let me make sense of this, of what you're looking at. Of all of these politicians, there's going to be a good mix of Republicans and Democrats who have all accepted AIPAC money. AIPAC is American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and they basically are lobbyists that don't have to register as a foreign lobbyist for some unknown reason. I'll get into that in just a second. I'll get into it right now. So there's something called FARA, F-A-R-A. Stands for Foreign Agents Restriction Act, okay? The purpose of that, guys, look, you're not stupid. You can understand this stuff. Don't doubt yourself. I'm going to explain it in ways you can understand it. FARA is something that our government, have in place to make sure that other countries like North Korea, Russia, China, Israel, whoever, can't pay our politicians, our decision makers, money in exchange for being able to make decisions on foreign policy. We need to decide, hey, where is our money going to go? If we're going to donate money to this country, what do we Americans get out of it, right? That's how we should think. So stuff like FARA, that's what that's in place for. There's no other country that I'm aware of that pays our politicians without having to register through FARA other than Israel. That's a leak in our government. That's corruption. Okay? So why is Israel paying both sides? Let me make it make sense for you. If you had $100 extra to pay money, so you're probably like me. You don't have extra money just to pay a politician. Like, hey, I want this candidate to win, so I'm going to donate $100 of my hard-earned money to this candidate because I really like this candidate. Some people have money to do that. But usually what people don't do is say, all right, I have $100 that I want to spend on a candidate. I'm going to do 50 to this candidate, and I'm going to do 50 to the opponent as well. You wouldn't do that. It wouldn't make any sense for you, right? Well, on that example for $100, yeah, that would make ridiculous sense. But if you have a whole lot of money where you can pay this person a whole lot of money, you can pay that person a whole lot of money, regardless of which one gets elected, there's going to be some favors owed. You understand? Is it starting to make sense now? If it's not, just keep on watching my videos. It'll all come together. But you may not like what you see.